Hi guys, Brianna Robertson here, and I just want to take time to talk about some common mistakes that I see with estate planning documents that make it, for lack of better words, hell in court. Um, so my name is Brianna Robertson. I'm the founding and managing attorney of BC Robertson Law that's based out here in Dallas, Texas. And in my firm, we walk people through estate planning, the probate process every day in the state of Texas, as well as other states, but mainly in the state of Texas, but also in states like Louisiana, Arizona, and Georgia. And one of the things that we come across more often than I would like is estate planning documents that are not um, drafted thoroughly enough, where it ends up having the families right back in court, fighting over assets, even though there's an estate plan in place. So a lot of times we see this when like you have a will that was drafted. These wills don't properly dispose or direct how these assets are supposed to go. And because of that, it just goes right back to the estate. It's like, well, we don't know who's supposed to get this. It says it's supposed to, like, a common one that we see quite often is the wills will say this estate is supposed to go to my heirs, but it never defines who the heirs are. And so, because this will never defines who the heirs are, we're now having to go to court to determine who the heirs are. So now that we're spending extra money in the probate courts trying to determine who all the heirs are. Another common issue we see is where the wills, if you have a will and it only tells it tells you how to disperse certain property, but there's no residuary clause. There's no catch-all clause for things that you didn't mention. And let's say after you drafted this will, you had acquired extra assets, and because there's no residuary clause, the courts have no idea what you want to have happen to these extra assets. And so then we're right back in court because whenever your will or your estate planning fails, the state laws is what kicks in to determine how these assets should be divided. So then that means we're right back and going into the probate courts to determine how all this property that you didn't, divest of in your estate planning documents shall be dealt with. And the purpose of getting an estate plan is to try to keep it out of the court's hands as much as possible, if, completely. And so if you have estate plans that's failing to do this and it's ending your family right back up in court, these estate plans aren't doing what they were created to do. And so this is why it is so important to make sure that you come to an attorney, an experienced attorney, when drafting your and creating your estate plans, is because our goal is to draft these plans in such a way that your families don't have to go to court to handle your assets, or if they do have to go to court, it's as little as possible. And so this is why it's so important to come to an attorney when drafting them, so that way you don't have to spend thousands upon thousands in attorney's fees later. The little amount of money that you spend creating a plan upfront pales in comparison to what your family has to pay to handle it all in court. So these are some of the most common issues that we find in estate plans, is that a lot of estate plans we find are not drafted thorough enough to plan for, every situation, such as not having a catch-all phrase, not defining who the heirs are, not properly defining who the executors are, not having backups in case those heirs, that you originally appointed, uh, wasn't there. Like, you don't have anything in place as a backup. And then let's say we've had this situation happen in my office as well, where you have people, where there's certain people you didn't want to inherit your estate, certain heirs that you did not want to have any part of your estate, but because you didn't properly, distribute your assets and your estate plans weren't thorough enough. Well, then we have to go back to the laws of the state of Texas. And under the laws of the state of Texas, it says that they would inherit. So now you have people inheriting your estate that you never wanted to have a part of your estate in the first place. And so this is what happens when your estate plan fails, because they weren't drafted properly. There Nobody took the time to actually talk with you about the ins and outs of your estate, the different possibilities that can happen. And so this is why a lot of times having somebody who also does probate are the best people to help draft the state plans, because when you do probate, we see this litigation all the time, and we draft your estate plan from a place of knowing what are the common disputes that you have in court. And so when you contact places like my office, where we are very experienced in drafting estate plans, we try to make sure that we draft these things in such a way that it will keep your family and keep your assets out of the court's business and keep it where you want it, which is with your heirs and the people who you want to inherit it. So if you want to make sure that you have a well drafted estate plan that is meant to do what it's supposed to do, contact my office. Once again, my name is Brianna Robertson. I'm managing and founding attorney of BC Robertson Law. You can contact us at 214-432-5972, or you can click the link and go to our website at bcrobertsonlaw.com, and we'll be happy to service you. Thanks. Peace.